This is the Dave Elliott Show.
And good morning. My goodness, we made it through another Monday, and it's Tuesday morning, July 21st, 2026, and I'm so glad you could spend some time with us today. I'm Dave, and I'll be here for the next little while. We'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. Today is Cat Stevens' birthday. He is 68, along with Gary Trudeau, the cartoonist from Doonesbury, who's also the same age. John Lovitz is 69, and Allie Landry, Miss USA from 1996, you may remember her as the Doritos girl, is 53. Weather today looks pretty typical for this time of year. We can expect temperatures in the low 90s, and as that tropical storm Bertha moves away from Florida and heads to the Panhandle and the west side of the Gulf of Mexico, it looks like our weather is going to actually improve. I'm very happy to have with me this morning for the first half hour my good friend. He's a mentor to me in many ways. We worked together many, many moons ago. He's got his own podcast. He's got his fingers in many, many different pies. Jim Watkins joining us all the way from Cape Coral this morning. Hi, Jim.
Hey, Dave. How's it going, man? It's been a long time.
It has been a long time since we've been together professionally on the air. I remember you were the program director when I was hired at the radio station in Fort Myers back in 2004. And you would come into me in the morning with newspaper. Do you remember this? You'd bring the newspaper in and you'd say, hey, why don't you talk about this? And I was just getting started in the talk radio business. That was you.
I remember my wife and I were talking about it. It was 23 years ago, for those who remember. And there are, weirdly, there are people who remember.
Yeah.
And I had come here. Now, this is an interesting story.
I hope so.
So my wife and I were in Dallas, Texas, and we had 3 kids. And the thought of moving and living in Florida never in my entire life ever occurred to me because I didn't know anybody here. There wasn't anybody that I had a connection with. And I certainly had thought about it in a sort of a dreamy fashion because my job at the time was in the beginning of Laura Ingraham and Michael Savage's talk radio career. And my job was to get them on radio stations across the country. And nobody knew who these people were. And so consequently, my territory, and you know that from sales vernacular, my territory was Florida. So I would talk to a lot of the program directors in Florida. Having never been there, I knew nothing about what life was like. But I was always fascinated by the names of the cities. You know, it just sounded like paradise. You know, all these Seaside and what else? Point Charlotte and Port
Punta Gorda and Miami, Immokalee.
Well, Immokalee didn't come up. But anyway, so long story short, I asked the program director. His name is Bob, and he runs a coffee shop now in downtown.
He did. I think he sold that, didn't he?
Did he? He made a mint. Nice guy too. Very nice guy.
Bob
a little bit
Grissinger.
flamboyant, but he was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he says to me, he goes, "We really like you, and we want to hire you." They put me at this really nice hotel on McGregor. They really made it look nice, you know. And I met Joe Schwartzel, Jim's dad.
Yeah, the guy who's running for Congress. Yeah, Jim's running for Congress.
Exactly.
Thanks, Biden. Jim, he's that guy.
So the fascinating story there is that I took the job, and I asked the secretary, I said, where do I go find a house? I got to find a house for my family. And she said, well, you got to go to 2 places. You can either go to Gateway, which is where they were building at the time. It was 2003. Or you can go to Cape Coral. And I never heard of Cape Coral in my life. And I'm like, okay, well, I just make a right then. Yes, make a right. So I made a right, and I ended up in the lower part of very charming South Cape Coral. And I loved it immediately. And I said, man, this is great. So we found a little place, and we brought the family out. And I remember I had a 18-wheel, one of those U-Haul.
An 18-wheeler? I could see you driving an 18-wheeler.
Actually, I did drive. It was a big-ass truck because I was hauling a car behind it. And where I got off was Bayshore, which took me to Pine Island.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like not a very nice area of town. It's sort of the more busy side. And I was like, God, I'm lost. But it was just a great experience. But I hired you because you had a reputation as being a talent. I think you were on a rock station or something. I don't know.
No,
Were you on a
I
music
was
station?
on a talk station. There's a little AM station on Marco Island, and I was there for about a year, and they let me go. I was costing them too much money.
Yeah, yeah.
The story
A
of
harbinger of things to come.
the story of my life, you know.
So anyway, yeah, I hired you and I liked you. We were on the air together, and we had Pete Combs. Pete Combs was a guy
The late
who
Pete
died
Combs.
a few years ago. Huh?
The late and great Pete Combs.
Yeah. So he was the news guy. You were the talent, and I don't know what the hell I was doing in there.
I think
But
you were the program director.
I was the program director, and we had a lot of fun. But then, I don't know what happened. You got a job.
The guy who
left.
preceded me was one of
Joe
these.
Rout.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to say his name, but it doesn't
He's a
matter.
nice guy.
He was a great guy. He'd had the job for a number of years, but what he was doing was he would open up his address book, and he would look at the interview of the day, and then he'd call that guy up, and they'd have him on the air. And it wasn't until I came along that they decided they wanted to go more opinion talk. So I started off, I'm a news guy. I was a news guy in my past life.
Everybody says the same thing. My opinion. I can't say what I really think.
No, I know, because when you're in the news, when you're in the news business, you have to be as unbiased as possible.
That rule doesn't apply anymore.
Well,
Dave.
it did in the early 2000s.
Not even in the news.
It did in the days of Walter Cronkite.
Yeah.
And now it's pretty much out the window, and you can read into just about any newscast you want.
Yeah. Yeah, unbiased. Yeah, let's not.
But I remember you did a
speech.
segment on you had a show that was on from 9 to 10 for a while.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
remember
I did.
listening to you one time, and you were asking the listeners to call in with where the best place was to buy real estate. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Did somebody lead me to Cape Coral again?
I think a lot of people mention Cape Coral. When I first came here, I was told there were two places I should never live. One was Naples Park. Naples Park, which is an area up in North Naples, west of 41, and the other one was Golden Gate City. Well, it turns out they're now both great places to live, and Naples Park's property values have exploded. So if you invested there, you did pretty well for yourself.
Ave Maria was being constructed at that time, and I kept not saying it right. I kept saying something else.
It wasn't.
And I remember
being
that.
built. Oh, Ave Maria, maybe the law college, because I don't think it's been 20 years since the town of Ave Maria has been.
Well, like I said, it was being built. It wasn't done.
Oh, I see.
And they just started widening the freeway because it was two lanes each way.
What did you call it?
That
Ave
was the
Maria?
Something like that.
Ave Maria. Tell me about your podcast.
Matt Lachey.
Well, it looks like Matt Lacha.
It does.
Matt Lachey does not.
It's a beautiful place.
I don't know. In English rules of pronunciation, how you get Matt Lachey out of that spelling is beyond me.
Yeah, somebody who was a third-generation Pine Islander probably came up with it.
That would make a good radio name, wouldn't it? Hi, it's Matt Lachey here on the radio this morning.
I love that. That's actually a great idea. That never occurred to me.
Well, there was
steal that.
Do you remember one of the other stations? I think it was when Oldies 95.3 was on the air. They had a character on there named Lee Collier.
Lee Collier, how funny.
Yeah. I thought that was terrific. So tell me about your podcast.
Well, I have
you have several things you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the state of radio, and radio, like everything else, is changing because of the technology. But I would also argue that this change of AI or artificial intelligence that's, hogging up all the space, that actually started for me in, I want to say 1999, because in the early days when we were adapting to what they call automation, And this is where the DJ is no longer putting the record on the record player. And I was fortunate enough, and I know you too, Dave, we were fortunate enough to have that independence where your job for 4 hours was to change the records and play the records and do the segues and talk over the records without stomping all over the vocals. And to me, that was kind of an art form. It was performative, and there were a lot of radio stars too. The local radio stations were great at coming up with local celebrities, right? And so a lot of that changed when the first automation started to take place, and suddenly you didn't need a human body in there, and you didn't need to have somebody on. And the average person is still sort of unaware. The guy you hear today may not even be in this state. He may be somebody that recorded what you're hearing yesterday.
Yeah, it's called voice tracking, and it's very common. iHeart just fired all their on-air people.
Yeah. Well, this has been going on for 20 years. I was fired by iHeart in '99.
Well, good for you.
And
You were ahead of the game.
Yeah, I was one of the first, soldiers. But my point is that even though we didn't call it artificial intelligence, it was, because it was artificial. It was automation. You no longer needed the human being to perform the function. And this has had a detrimental effect, I think, on radio in general, because what's gone are the Monday morning staff meetings where people would come up with ideas, things that we could do to promote the radio stations. There's still that element there, but it's the decisions are not being made. And I'm not talking about like some of the local people. We've got a pretty good local market in some ways. But in other places, there are no bodies in the building. And it's just sad, I think, because radio for 80 years or even 100 years, it actually isn't. You were in radio then.
100 years ago? Yeah. I remember one time I walked in one morning and I had to get a dinosaur out of the way to get through the door.
Didn't you know Mr. Hertz?
Mega.
Yeah, Mega. Anyway,
Megahertz.
But you get my drift. So the radio thing to me, the podcasting thing is to me, it's all about creative content. I've got a couple. I've got like you, Dave, the politics is boring to me right now. To me, it's the same. The bigger picture is the morality issue. We have a morality deficit, not only in America, but in the world.
You've always been very philosophical about this. Ever since I've known you, you tend to take an item and make and include it in the bigger picture of things.
Yeah.
And I like that about you, by the way.
I feel like I'm a bit of a historian, because as in you and I and all of us in our generation, my God, have things changed since the 60s, the 50s. It's not the same world at all. And the young people don't act like we did when we were young. And I don't know if it's good or bad or maybe a mixture of both. But we're living it and we get to watch it, and we should be writing it down, because in a few generations, everything that we knew about the 60s and the 70s and the 80s is going to be forgotten. And, hopefully a lot of it it depends on who's in charge of the information. I mean, a lot of things tend to go down the rabbit hole, I mean, if you go to Wikipedia or even ChatGPT, you can't trust that the information you're getting is without bias, what we were talking about before.
And in fact, it will be biased because the learning of these large language models, which is what they call the ChatGPTs of the world, comes from human beings. And human beings, by their very nature, have biases. So I think you're going to always have bias in AI stuff. However, and it's funny you mentioned AI because I was thinking about this last night. How dangerous is AI really? I think there is enough noise about artificial intelligence right now to make people cautious. I'm not clear that it won't become a weapon and be used against the people who are vulnerable, but I do think that it is a force. It's gonna level out. Right now, the knee jerk is AI bad, AI data centers bad, but we'll see. We'll just see. I don't think we're heading to Skynet.
Well, not yet, but the planet is starting to look like something from the Borg, from Star Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these data centers, and I'm on the side that who asked for this? I didn't ask for AI. I like it. There are a lot of tools that I can use in my business, which is fine. But as far as developing a relationship with AI and I just read today there this huge company, Futopia or something like that in South Korea. They are going to be rolling out these robots, these humanoid robots soon. And I don't know how I'm going to like that. I mean, why do I need a robot in my house? That's weird.
Do you have a,
My wife and I,
do you have a
we talk. We
Zumba,
only talk to each
a
other.
Roomba? Do you have a Roomba vacuum cleaner?
Hell no, I don't want that little thing. It looks so innocuous, doesn't it?
Besides, it's watching you go pee.
And it's feeding all the information back to Beijing.
Yeah, exactly.
They know what my pee schedule is. So Steve Jobs, everybody loves the guy now, but in 100 years, we may be cursing his name.
Well, it's entirely possible. I'm not. For some reason, I don't get all excited about AI, one way or the other. It's a tool. I've used it successfully. I had it write a couple of radio scripts for me, and it did a bang up job. I've had it record jingles for me, and it does a bang up job at that.
Yeah.
And it's way cheaper than what I could have hired a band and a songwriter and a consultant to do. Yeah, I have to try it 4 or 5 times until I get it exactly the way I want it, but that's okay. So I'm not a big anti AI guy.
Yeah. It's about the content, and the human element of it is what makes everything sort of sparkle. So I like the tools, but they're toys. Making free music. I wrote my wife a love song a few years ago, and I had AI make a song. She thought it was the most beautiful thing in the world, but I wrote the damn song. So anyway, but
you kind of wrote
the
the
data
song.
centers in Florida, which is the main concern for me, because I'm an advocate, and I know you are too. We have abundant sunshine here. Why everybody doesn't have solar on their house is beyond me. But what I would say about that is that the electric companies, they're really good at passing along costs to us, and they're doing it with these data AI centers. Before, they were trying to tell us that they were investing in sustainable energy, and we all need to do our part, which is another way of saying we're going to start charging you for more electricity.
Yeah.
Now we get solar, and now they're, we need to build all these data centers that suck all this energy, and guess who's going to pay for it? You are, because it's an investment in the future.
I am concerned
and nobody's
about
buying
that.
it.
I am concerned about that. Even the gubernatorial candidate, Byron Donalds, has indicated that there will be no data centers if we're going to have to pay for it. Now, the problem with that is that the people who are involved in building these data centers have unlimited funds. I mean, money doesn't talk, it screams.
Yeah.
And when it comes right down to it, tax bases, look at what DeSoto County was, they were all in favor of this data center being built in DeSoto County here in Florida. And apparently the people started screaming and yelling and saying, we don't need it. And the DeSoto County Commission is saying, yeah, but the tax money we're going to get. And people are going, yeah, we'll be out of water and our electric bills are going to go right through the roof. So I guess that deal is on hold. Do we really? And here's the other thing. You build a data center, you spend, hundreds of millions or $1 billion on a data center. You take up a lot of space. You have a lot of resources that are involved in building it. You operate the data center, and then some guy invents a chip that does what the data center is now doing. So all of a sudden, the data centers are left abandoned in the middle of nowhere at great expense to who? And I think that, and it's going to happen, Jim. That somebody will invent a chip that will do what data centers are doing now. Remember when the first IBM computers came out and they took up giant rooms in buildings just to compute enough information that you can now get on your wristwatch?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that is the point, because I think they spent millions and millions on these wind things, turbines.
Yeah.
And in doing some of the research on that, the maintenance, some of the costs, I mean, these things cost anywhere from $1 to $5 million each. And they're still waiting for the return on that investment. And so that's the key, is there's no return on the AI investment right now. You're right. Peter Thiel and all these others, BlackRock, I mean, they're just throwing money at this thing like they think it's the golden egg or whatever, the golden goose. So, I think you're right.
The goose that laid the golden egg is what you were trying to say.
The goose, yeah, I'm dyslexic when it comes to my metaphors. My mom always said when I was a kid, that's the way to crumble cookies.
Can I quote you on that? I'm always dyslexic when it comes to my metaphors. I like that expression. I think I'm going to copyright that if you don't do it first.
No,
hey,
you go ahead.
I wanted to bring to your attention some good news. You know, there's a lot of doom scrolling out there these days. People are complaining about this and bitching about that and arguing about this other thing. And I think it's great news that the cost of ice cream is coming down. Ice cream price is cooling off. And the reason for that is butter prices have come down significantly, nearly 9% year over year, according to last week's Consumer Price Index. Now, there have been slight increases in things like milk and sugar, but overall, the cost of butter is down, and that means we get our ice cream. Is that good news or what?
You know how much ice cream I have in my refrigerator?
Gallons.
A lot.
You told me your wife
Watkins
loves ice cream.
Very happy. My son, too. They've got that sweet tooth. I'm excited about that. I mean, is that a harbinger that other things are going to go down too?
Well, I think it is. I think it means that, you know, while things like gasoline are going up, and they're going up and we know it because there are big signs along the roadway every day that tell you how much gasoline costs. You know, there isn't so much price pressure on milk because we don't see the price in big letters on the side of the road. But gasoline, we see those big letters and we say, oh my God, we're in such trouble.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not so
That's
sure.
true. Well, and also the other good news is that now coffee's got the thumbs up, right? Didn't you tell me we can now drink more coffee?
Yes, I'm happy to report that your cup of coffee can now turn into 5 cups of coffee a day. And they say it is safe for most adults. Regular coffee consumption may be linked to a lower risk of stroke, diabetes, and heart failure. And this is coming from, of all places, the American Heart Association. Not Maxwell House Institute.
Yeah, I was going to say, sponsored by Folgers?
No, yeah, well, whatever.
Wait a minute. I seem to recall this is the same institute that said that cigarettes were good at reducing blood pressure.
No, I don't recall that.
Back in the 50s, it's true. The American Medical Association advocated for smoking, saying that it would reduce stress among women.
Well, apparently coffee for the moment is good in large quantities, and that is subject to change because tomorrow I'm sure the National Tea Institute will come out and tell you that really it's tea that is good for you.
Well, you know, I love coffee, and I'm not one of these. I never go not to slight Starbucks, but I don't want to spend $10 for a cup of coffee. Call me, a prude. But there's a certain thing that with the beans, Dave, and I want to tell you about the beans because it's important to know about them. There are some, the best coffee are going to be the beans that have grown in the higher altitudes of, like Colombia and elsewhere,
Florida.
Brazil. You want the higher altitude beans because for whatever reason, that less altitude, I guess like Colorado, thin air, it makes the bean work harder to I'm serious. And a lot of times what you get, the store-bought, you go to Costco and you get the super tubs, don't stay away from those, because those are the ones that are grown at the lower altitudes. Therefore, they're easier to get, they're easier to process. But the acidity level in the lower altitude bean can determine, you don't want acidity because that's what leads to the gurgling and stuff like that.
The gurgling.
So a little bean information for you.
Well, thank you, because if I hadn't heard that, I would have not been able to live for the rest of the day. I would be wondering about
Well, if you're going to increase
beans.
your coffee intake, you might as well go for the good stuff. And, that's why I bring it up.
Now, I think the reason that coffee is good for you is because you drink it black. Do you drink your coffee black? Or do you have cream and sugar?
I like it like my, no.
No, you
joke,
won't. Not on this show, you won't. Hey, let's.
Anyway.
I got just a couple of minutes. Actually, I've got about a minute left, so I don't have enough time. But I'd love to have you come back and we can solve the problems of the world here.
Yeah,
on the show. I want to talk with you the next time we chat about the WNBA.
Yes.
You and I were talking about it off air, and we agree that the NBA is a pretty exciting opportunity right now for television sports viewers. I know a lot of people have misconceptions or think the NBA is, or WNBA is just kind of a fad, but I disagree, and we'll get into that at a future date. Tell people how they can find your podcast.
Well, you can find my Substack, so let me start because that's easier. But everything, my handle is at RealJimWatkins1. So if you're on Twitter, if you're on Substack, if you're on Getter, X, RealJimWatkins1. And I write quite a bit. I've delved into more writing. I like that medium. And there's good writing out there. That's one thing I do like about the better aspect of social media through publications like American Thinker and others is there's better writing. More people are bringing their voices, and I want to be in that circle. So
all right.
There you go.
So thank you, Jim, for joining us all the way from Cape Coral this morning. My good friend, radio guy, mentor, pal, advice. How many times do we call each other up and say, hey, what do you know about this, or can you help me with that?
Oh, I know. And I apologize now for that, David.
Don't.
I think you were the recipient more. I was calling you every week. How do I fix this? How do I do that?
I don't mind at all. I consider myself just, available for anything. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Appreciate it. Jim Watkins here on the Dave Elliott Show for a Tuesday morning. When we come back, we're going to talk with political analyst Bob Weiner, direct from Washington, D.C. So whatever you do, don't go away.
You've got Dave Elliott.
I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about your hearing, and especially if you are experiencing hearing problems or you've noticed recently that your hearing just isn't as acute as it used to be. Well, the folks at Naples Audiology and Hearing Center can take care of that for you. My friend, audiologist and owner Christine Peacock, and her entire staff are dedicated to one thing and one thing only. And no, it's not the freshly baked chocolate chip cookies you'll find every day when you walk in, but it's your hearing. If you wear cochlear implants, they can help you with that. If you wear hearing aids, they can help you tune them up or get them repaired if they're under warranty, or if you need to be replacing them, they can help you with that too. At Naples Audiology and Hearing Center, they are the experts. They've been around a long time, and it's not this one-size-fits-all thing with them because everybody's hearing concerns are unique. Naples Audiology and Hearing Center, online at napleshearingcenter.com, or call them at 239-434-2434 and tell them you heard about it on the Dave Elliott Show.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument, the rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is,
it's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
He has a unique set of skills that can somehow turn any situation into an awkward one. Dave Elliott.
And thank you very much for joining us this morning. We're here until we get done sometime between 8:30 and 9. We have a lot to cover today. And I'm very pleased to have one of my great friends with us, Mr. Bob Weiner, who joins us from Washington, D.C. He was the spokesperson in the White House for both George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, among many other things, very involved in the National Press Club. And I understand, Bob, you are an award winner on the track. I'm not hearing you for some reason. I'm not sure why.
I don't know what you...
There it is. There it is.
Dave?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I like to remind when I'm on your shows, and congratulations on your astounding and really top-flight career as a top broadcaster in Southwest Florida. So good job for you, Dave. You're well-known nationally. But I was Claude Pepper's chief of staff for 6 years.
Oh, that's right.
And that's one of the highlights of my life was the magnificence and the wonder and the joy of the leadership of Claude Pepper.
He was they don't make them like him anymore, do they?
No, they don't. Dave, you are the best, he would say.
Tell me about your recent experience at the Masters track and field. You won all kinds of awards.
You really want
there.
me to do that? The gold, silver, and bronze medals I got in the 800, 4x800, 4x400, 4x100 relays, and the scoring nationally in the steeplechase, the long jump, and God knows what else. Okay, several events to help our team be third in the nation out of 129 teams. I just am back literally from the Masters Track National Championships in Geneva, Ohio.
Geneva, Ohio.
Right, on Lake Erie. Beautiful, gorgeous.
Outstanding. Let's talk a little Washington inside stuff here. You know that I try to be apolitical as much as I can be on this show. And
as brilliant as you are, you do reflect your listenership extremely well.
Well, you know, we're a conservative area here in Southwest Florida, and that doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about the other side of the. Somehow, I'm picking up feedback here. I'm not sure where it's coming from. That's a little puzzling, but it is nonetheless. We're looking for a leader. We're looking for a new leader in 2 years. We're looking for leaders in the House and the Senate this year.
That's right.
What leadership qualities should we be? I know this may seem like a really naive and off the wall question, but what? Well, I'm serious. But what qualities should we be looking at in a new leader, in leaders?
Well, I like what James Scarborough said today. He put it in perspective. A couple of Democratic candidates said some crazy things, and 8% of the Democratic Party says we're doomed. It is such nonsense, as he said. In 2020, Biden was doomed. Politico said that he can't survive, and then Clyburn endorsed him in South Carolina and switched the whole movement, and it came through. We need people, Dave, and the way I work my program at the National Press Club is regardless of party, regardless of which position people have, go for facts, go for truth, and go for bold, and go for charismatic. That's what we need. And so I'm hopeful. You know, I like to point out, with all due honesty, that both Vance and Bondi said, no, don't pardon everybody. Vance said, no, don't go into Iran. So, you know, there is positive speaking on the Republican side, too. But people, I think maybe Heather Cox Richardson put it in the best perspective. I wrote the quote down. Let's see, where is it? Well, I'll do it by memory. She said, once the American people reach the conclusion and ask, say, shut the F up. The future leadership that is in there now would be doomed. It's a real call for change. It's a real call for change. And America has reached the what the F and shut the F up when Trump switches daily and minute by minute on the purpose of a war that actually was better off before he started than it is now. That's not partisan. That's just what the American people want. And they don't want their money from going to defense instead of health and housing and education and food costs. And they don't want that. What they want is somebody who hears what they feel. And what they feel is the high costs and money being stolen and given to billionaires instead of to the needs of the American people. How is that partisan?
I guess it's not partisan. I guess it really is common sense to a lot of people. But the problem is...
And that's why there's a 13 to 15 point flip and a minimum of 11 to 13 in not some, not a couple, but every single race, even in Trump's own Mar-a-Lago, that has been occurring. And that's why a wave is expected unless he tries to rig the election with sending ICE troops and gerrymandering and all of that. And he's had some success with that. But I believe that the pro-democracy forces have the judicial injunctions and the blocks ready, and 80 to 90% of all of that sticks. And I believe that the forces of protecting the vote the way that they should be are in the majority, even among Trump judges.
Well, you do have people who feel the other way, that the races were rigged against the president and Republicans, and that they are not going to take the election sitting down. It is interesting to note, however, that these people only seem to think the elections are rigged when they don't win.
That's right. One side is that way. The other side is gracious and makes the concession calls and all. That's 100% right. But it's exasperating, Dave. I mean, I respected, as you said, I worked for Bush after I worked for Clinton. And I got a thank you note from both presidents. And to me, it's exasperating when people don't accept American democracy as American democracy. And when the American people, they were ultimately way against the spending on the unnecessary wars that was promised by this particular president, not never-ending wars that he's getting. I couldn't believe the headlines of the Washington Post yesterday and today. It's a flip-flop in terms of how you interpret things. All-out wars return, it says yesterday, and today it says uptick in U.S. troop injuries. But meanwhile, Trump is using it as an excuse that there were 2 more soldiers to go full out, all out again against Iran, instead of sitting down in a diplomatic, measured way and getting back to where we were before the memorandum of understanding, whatever understanding there was, but to getting back to the fact of talking. And Dave, we talked about it offline yesterday. I cannot believe the influence of Netanyahu. It is unbelievable. But now even a half of Democrats are saying don't give Israel war funding and give them money for weapons. There's a real shift. I'll say it on air. My family is Jewish. They are totally against this kind of willy-nilly support toward AIPAC's missions and goals. And they have been a real problem. And it's about time that the American people go case by case, issue by issue, support yes, defense yes, but create wars that every president said no to in the last 50 years to war with Iran. And this guy goes in and keeps getting Netanyahu to come to the White House. And then he comes out with, here we go again. He was going to do a 3-4 month war. And then he was at the White House gaggle yesterday. You saw it. And he couldn't even give the reason for the war when the guy said, you said 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months. And now here we are 6 months into it. And he says, well, the reason in the mission has changed. And I'm going to go back to Heather Cox Richardson's kind of language. That's when the American people say, shut the F up, because he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay, well, that's the perspective that I think people need to hear, because we tend to get into our news silos. We listen to we listen to liberal networks or we listen to conservative networks, but we don't really ever listen to the other side.
Don't you, Dave? I do. I watch Fox to hear what they're saying.
I do tune into Fox.
My contractor told me that you have to listen. You have to listen to the Trumpies because when what Trump is doing on immigration, which he's down on, what he is doing is sending a message with the hurt and the torture of ICE. That's inexcusable, but he's sending a message. And if you don't hear that and understand that, you don't know how to deal with the other side. You have got to be able to listen to the other side. So I really would urge your listeners, if you're pro-Trump, listen to MSNBC also. If you're pro, who knows who on the I don't care, Gavin Newsom or anybody, on the Democratic side, then listen to Fox. I mean, you've got to do that. You've got to hear both sides so you can understand the perspectives.
All right, let's move in a different direction here just for a minute because I'm really curious to get your opinion on this. Who do you see this early out? We're 2 years and plus away from the general election in 2028. Who do you see as potential front runners on each side, or is it way too early to make that call?
Well, the people who say Rubio don't realize Vance is active, and the people who say Vance don't realize Rubio is active. And certainly Gavin Newsom earned some respect from the Democrats for the decision he got that allows the fight back against the Republican gerrymandering in the California races that really helped save some of democracy for us because many states took that lead. And you can see what both South Carolina and Georgia did. They refused to go along with the gerrymandering and protected Clyburn and this and that. So it's hard, Dave. What I know, and a friend and I always have this contest, and Vance Manford Mondale and I are lifetime friends. He holds the record in California. Chuck Levin, for voter registration, grassroots. He and his mother set up this thing that got commended by the California Secretary of State and the Los Angeles City Council and streets named for him and so forth for doing this kind of ground. And he and I have a contest over the years of name the people we think 2 years in front. You know what? We're always wrong. Always. And you know, who heard of Carter? Who heard of Obama? You know, Clinton was going to win. And you don't have Nixon to kick around anymore. And all of that, Dave. So anybody who claims that they know what they're talking about now in terms of who the nominee is going to be is wrong. So what really matters is where are you 3 months in front of the election? And then you can start being in the reality. But it's really funny. We keep the records of this contest, and it's none of us ever picks the right nominee except maybe once in 20 times, right?
And you know what's even more interesting is the polling has been so bad in the last several election cycles that you can't even count on the polls anymore. Is that because people are lying to the pollsters, or are they?
Well, the polls are right when they are taken, and they're within 3 points usually, but that 3 points can be a big miss, as it was with Hillary. And they can be wrong. They were wrong with Kerry, but those elections were very, very close. So, but when they're not close, like now you're talking about 20 points and 40 points, Trump down. You're talking about an 8-point generic advantage in the Democrats. The only way that can be the rigging that stops the reality of what the polling is showing. So you have to play the science as it is, and polling is the best we've got. But you're right, the polling has been off. I remember leaving, one election and then it was actually in Australia for a World Masters track meet, thinking, oh, this thing is decided. And then the Los Angeles Times came out and showed it closing, and Trump was closing. And I said, uh-oh, trending is really wrong. And I went to the victory party at the National Democratic Club, and we had lost. So you just never know, but you got to watch the polling really close in. And the key is to watch the trending.
Yeah. Yeah, oftentimes way more important than the actual poll numbers is who's trending upward, who's trending downward.
Correct.
Bob Weiner, it's always a pleasure to have you on. We're going to have you on again because I think as we get closer to the midterms, we're going to have some very interesting contests to talk about.
This was great, Dave, to be with you again.
Well, thank
you so much. And congratulations, everybody. Listen to Dave's podcast. It's great. And he's the best.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us this morning from D.C. Or actually, you're in Maryland this morning, I guess.
I am indeed across the river from Mount Vernon. That's where Pat and I live.
All right. Well, congratulations to you on your victories at the Masters track and field, and we'll talk soon.
Okay. Take care, Dave.
Okay. Bob Weiner right here on the Dave Elliott Show. Thank you for joining us as well. There's a lot of stuff going on that isn't politics related. And by the way, coming up in the next few minutes, we're going to be checking in with our good buddy, Tim Ayton. That'll be at 8:10 this morning. Why do we pick 8:10 on a show that doesn't really have any, we have to be out at top of the hour, bottom of the hour? Well, because his name is Tim 810. You see how I did that? Tim 810. So he's on at 8:10 on Tuesday. By the way, a little bit of housekeeping here. If you want to listen to us after the fact, you could find us at daveontheair.com. Click the show archive link. I don't even remember the name. I made that website and I don't remember what it's called, but it's the second link. It's right below the one that says listen live. And that'll take you right to at least it should take you right to our previous shows. And then if you want to listen live, you'll click the listen live link at daveontheair.com, and that'll take you right to YouTube. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. We'd love to hear from you and have you know when the next show is going to be up. Tomorrow on the show, we'll be chatting with our good buddy, Reg Buxton, at the top of the show, right at 7 o'clock. So make sure you join us for that. Thursday, Bob Zaney stops by, and our friend at the north end of I-75, Kathy Dugan, will be here. Kathy is at almost at the very northern tip of I-75, and we're almost at the very southern tip of I-75. So we've decided to call our segment the I-75 Files, and you see why. During the July 20th, by the way, this is the part of the show where I get to talk to you about stuff that I think is fascinating, and hopefully you will be too. If you'd like to call us or text us on any subject, I invite you to give us a buzz at 305-699-2665. That's area code 305-699-2665, okay? And you can text us or call us at that number. We do take all texts and calls. Love to hear from you and know that you will definitely get listened to. 305-699-2665. Taking a quick look at your traffic situation out there this morning. If I can get this thing to work. There we go. We have one disabled vehicle located at Immokalee Road near Oilwell Grade Road, according to the Collier County Sheriff's Office. And in terms of the bigger picture, we have not much to report. There is a little bit of a slowdown, it looks like, at the toll booth on I-75. Also, southbound near Willoughby Acres on I-75, things are slow there. That would be just before Immokalee Road, southbound. And in East Naples, at Bayshore Road, there's a slowdown. South on Collier Boulevard, south of Lely Resort, right at the intersection there of 41, there's a little bit of a slowdown. And in all the usual places. But there are no stoppages reported anywhere that I see this morning, traffic-wise. So that's a look at your traffic report. Weather forecast for today, calling for temperatures to be in the 90s. Are we going to get rain? Well, probably not today. There's a 24% chance of rain today. The high will be 92. Tomorrow, there's another 24% chance of rain. The high will be 92. Thursday, we can expect a 40% chance of rain. The high will be 93 tomorrow. But the good news is that our low temperatures will get a little bit of a break, dropping into the mid-70s. For Thursday, though, scattered showers and thunderstorms developing in the afternoon. One of the guys that I find most fascinating is the former quarterback for the Patriots and later the Bucks, one Mr. Tom Brady. Well, apparently during yesterday's episode of Wake Up Barstool, Dave Portnoy called out Brady's appearance at Fanatics Fest 2026, including his staged confrontation with Logan Paul. Staged. He suggested Brady had traded his image for staged influencer rivalries and attention-grabbing appearances, arguing that the NFL legend's legacy was being lamified. Lamified, reports The Blast. Portnoy said, as per the New York Post, quote, he's becoming very lame, referring to Brady. He said, these superstars are so above the fray that you don't want to see them mixed up in all sorts of lowbrow, TikTok, flag football leagues in Saudi Arabia. Everything about him seems cringy to me, he said. I have noticed that Tom Brady has not been the above the fray sort of guy that we are used to seeing. For some reason, he's getting sucked into the social media frenzy that seems to be happening to celebrities everywhere. And I just wish he would back off a little bit. I like Brady. I liked him when he was a quarterback for the University of Michigan Wolverines years ago. I loved his athletic play as a member of the New England Patriots. I liked him, of course, needless to say, as the quarterback for the Bucs. And it pains me to see that he is falling victim to social media lame-fluencing or whatever you want to call it. I like Brady. I think he's a good athlete. What do you think? I have a question for you. If you live in Naples full-time, full year-round, what do you like about Naples in the summertime or dislike about Naples in the summertime? And we can make it Southwest Florida if you want. We can make it wherever you live at the moment. But I'm kind of curious about what you think about life in Southwest Florida in the summertime. I personally love the summertime here. I'm not crazy about being out in the hot, humid weather, but I don't really mind it if I have to run to the supermarket or, go to the doctor or make an errand. It doesn't bother me any to be out in the unair conditioned native air. And I think the reason for that is that I know that in just a few minutes I'm going to be back in the AC and my eyeballs will become unsteamed. But text me or call me this morning and tell me what it is that you like about living in Southwest Florida in the summertime. To the number I'm about to give you, 305-699-2665. What is it that you love or don't love about Naples in the summertime? One of the things I love about Naples in the summertime is how easy it is to get around. Have you noticed? You can go from point A to point B, and you can almost always get there on the same day you leave, as opposed to waiting until all the traffic clears. 305-699-2665. You can call or text and tell me what your thinking is, and we'll put you on the show if you call us up at that number, 305-699-2665. The other thing I like about the summertime is being able to get into a restaurant. It's so nice to know that you probably won't need a reservation anywhere you go. Not great for the restaurants. They want reservations, and that means that people are going there. But you can almost always find a place to get a bite to eat. We're going to be talking, speaking of that, with Tim Ayton coming up in about 15 minutes. Tim will have a look at what's new in town in terms of restaurants and stuff. I noticed that there have been some notable transactions occurring. We're going to talk to him about the Naples Bay Resort at the Gordon River Bridge just outside the Four Corners, having recently been sold for $41.5 million. Apparently that is the land only. It does not include the business. One of the sellers, Fred Pozeshkin, was quoted in the paper as saying they're not going to reveal the total cost. But $41.5 million, apparently for the property alone, is a pretty high bar, to say the least. Florida's back-to-school shopping holiday kicks off very soon. I think it's Monday, as a matter of fact. Unlike in prior years, Best Buy has set up in advance a web page linking back-to-school deals tied to Florida's month-long sales tax holiday. Oh, it began yesterday, not next Monday. It's already in effect. I beg your pardon. I had the wrong Monday there. Cancel the deal hunt. We've got you covered. The page states, with links to laptops, desktops, computer accessories, and calculators. Representing the Florida Retail Federation, Amanda Beavis credited lawmakers with making the sales tax holiday a permanent fixture in state law. Beavis, God, you said Beavis. That allows retailers to plan ahead not only in their sales, but in their marketing and promotions, said Amanda. The discount holiday first offered on a 7-day basis in 1998, when the sales taxes were lifted only on certain clothing valued at $50 or less, was firmly put into state statutes last year as a recurring event to run through August. Previously, the discount period was annually approved at varying lengths from 3 to 14 days, and some years, most recently 2009, they didn't even offer the holiday. That was during the recession. For this year, will lawmakers move the discount dates from yesterday through August 20th? The Retail Lobbying Organization credits the change of dates with helping consumers facing affordability issues tie in the state holiday with annual back-to-school discounts offered by businesses. So take advantage of the opportunity and enjoy it. Enjoy the opportunity to save money. You don't get to do that very often. All right. A look at the almanac here this morning. Today, in history, on this date in 1873, Jesse James and the James Gang staged its first train robbery, the Rock Island Express near Adair, Iowa. A loss of $6,000 was reported, but a gang insider said it was $65,000. So, once again, it's their word against mine. 1969, on this date, Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin blasted off from the moon after 21 and a half hours on the surface and returned to the command module piloted by Michael Collins. The astronauts left behind the lunar module's lower section, on which is mounted a plaque reading, quote, "Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind." And that's still up there all these many years later. In this date in 1972, comedian George Carlin was arrested for disorderly conduct in Milwaukee for saying on stage the 7 words performers were prohibited for saying on television. You know what those 7 words. Do I need to tell you? Well, I'm not going to. It may be a podcast, but I'm not going to. In 1988, the first known case of a bull attacking a jet plane was recorded when an Indian Airlines Boeing 737 was charged while landing at Baroda Airport in India. The bull, by the way, did not win that encounter. In 1998, the roof of the Saline County Library collapsed in Benton, Arkansas, from the weight of what apparently was years of accumulated pigeon crap. Yep, the pigeons loved it as a bathroom, and what can I tell you? It didn't work out too well for them. 2011, NASA's space shuttle program ended with the landing of Space Shuttle Atlantis on mission STS-135. That was Has it really been 15 years since the space shuttle program is over? It seems like it was much more recent than that. In 2017, Justin Bieber was barred from performing in China over his supposed bad behavior. In 2019, Marvel announced 10 new superhero films at Comic-Con. And I have something to say about that. I saved that one for last. But the thing I have to say about that is, isn't it time for the superhero movies to be over with? Aren't we about done with all the movies about people who are stronger than dirt and fly around and crush the bad guys? And super baddies, who, by the way, are all computer generated, it seems, who are only in the movie to show what the computers can do in the movie studios. Honestly, I don't get it. Why can't we just have movies like The Bridges of Madison County? I use that as an example. I haven't seen that movie in years. It was directed by Clint Eastwood, by the way, I believe. And why can't we have movies, that are like, just plain old comedies or good old-fashioned action movies and dramas without computer enhancement? Can we do that? Can we do that, please? Thank you. I'd appreciate it very much. So, in the meantime, or as some people would say, in other news, jeans that fit perfectly. The ideal Netflix show for a Tuesday night. Your one and only soulmate. Modern life promises that with enough options, you'll happily find the best of everything. But behavioral scientists say the increasing number of choices we have to make in our lives every day, whether it comes to shopping, social lives, or relationships, is doing just the opposite. Now listen to this. Barry Schwartz, an emeritus psychology professor at Swarthmore University, wrote a book called The Paradox of Choice. In that book, he says the idea that more choice is better is baked into Western culture. The idea that you could have so many things to choose from in your life in just about every aspect, from where you go to eat dinner to what kind of clothes you buy to the shows you watch on TV to even how many kids you're going to have. But he says research shows that having more options can make people anxious, indecisive, and paradoxically less happy with what they pick. Schwartz said there have been hundreds of studies showing there can be too much of a good thing. I think we all know that already anyway. So to minimize the mental noise, he said, limit the number of choices you make, and your brain will thank you for it. Schwartz offered several examples of cases where more options leave people worse off. And one of those options, in the case of Medicare Part D prescription drug plans, people in states with more choices were less likely to choose any of them. Same goes for 401k investments. The more options a company had, the less likely the employees were to sign up even when the employer offered matching money. Yeah, that's pretty wild. So, when it comes to choices, fewer are better for you than more. I just thought I'd leave that to you. When it comes to choices for morning talk, I hope you'll choose the Dave Elliott Show. We try to bring you interesting stories like that. Interesting guests like our friend Reg Buxton, who will be with us tomorrow, and our friend Tim Ayton, who will be with us in just a couple of minutes. Did you hear about the guy who officials say was killed by a truck last week in St. Augustine while running from immigration officers? He was apparently Mexican, identified by a farm workers advocacy group as a father of two on vacation with a valid tourist visa. Juan Jairo Coronilla Duran, who is only 28, was visiting from his hometown of San Luis de la Paz, a small city in the northeastern state of Guanajuato, according to Orlando-based nonprofit Colectivo Arbol. Officials have yet to confirm his identity. Iseret Jeffers, who represents the organization, has been providing support to his wife, Jessica Alamia, and said Coronilla Duran arrived in the United States 3 weeks ago for vacation and had only been in Florida for 2 days. He was hit and killed by the truck on July 14th. Jeffers said he had already bought a flight. Now, unfortunately, if he is returning, his return, she says, is different. So, very, very sad situation there. And I feel very bad for the people involved. We're going to take a break, and on the other side of said break, we will be joined by one Mr. Tim Ayton. So whatever you're doing, don't go away.
You've got Dave Elliott.
And a minute out for Alice Sweetwaters. You know, it's sizzling summer out there. You can tell just by looking at the steam on the windows in the morning. But Alice Sweetwaters has summer sizzling lunch specials just for you every day from 11 to 4. Mondays, the Smash Burger Beach Break for $12. Tuesday, it's Taco Tuesday for $12. Wednesday, the Dockside Duo, which is my favorite. 3 chicken fingers, 3 fried shrimp served with golden fries, $12. And Thursday, the classic French dip. You'll love it. Don't forget Fridays, the local catch lunch. And don't forget Alice Sweetwaters for dinner and snacks and everything in between. It's Alice Sweetwaters, my favorite place to eat, and yours too, I'm sure, at the corner of Glades Boulevard and Airport Road, diagonally across from the East Naples Home Depot. Alice Sweetwaters, where they serve crabs, shrimps, and big people.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. Talk to someone if you're struggling with mental health, because most people out here really care. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
When I smoke weed, I get lost in the music. I like to isolate each instrument. The rhythmic bass, the harmonies on the piano, the sticky melody.
Hey, careful, babe. There's someone crossing the street.
Sorry, I didn't see him there.
If you feel different, you drive different. Don't drive high. It's dangerous and illegal everywhere. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
He'd like to apologize to anyone he has not yet offended. Be patient. He'll get to you shortly. Dave Elliott.
And we're back here at the little radio ranch, as we like to call it. And guess what time it is? Well, listen to this.
On Tuesday and as Naples grows, let's find out what Tim Ayton knows. What Tim Ayton knows.
And here he is now, Tim Ayton, joining us this morning from GulfShoreBusiness.com and the Naples Press. Hi, Tim. Can you hear me, Tim?
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I'm hearing a double. I'm hearing feedback. I don't know if it's on my end.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I discovered that was happening this morning, and if it's distracting, we'll figure something out. But
it might be me listening to them. I'm trying to close down the stream I had.
I don't know. I've noticed that. I noticed this morning when I was interviewing Bob Weiner, we for some reason had a little echo that I've never heard before, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. Is that any better?
There, I just shut off. It might have been because I was listening, had it on earlier. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm still hearing it, but anyway.
Yeah, I still hear it too.
Is it distracting?
It's all right. I think we can make do. As long as I know which one's the real Dave. Because there's like a delay.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure where that's coming. I'm going to do something here. Let me see if this helps any. It may be something that I can. Did that make it go away? It did make it go away.
Yeah, I think it did.
It was coming from one of my computers. I'll have to delve into what the problem there is.
Yeah, because I noticed that there's a difference when I was listening on my laptop and on my iPhone, and there is a delay difference. And I don't think
it's about 7 seconds, as it turns out.
Okay.
So now I know we just did some troubleshooting on the air. Thank you for helping me out with tech support this morning. Man, I'll
My
tell
pleasure.
You're the best. So I understand there's a lot of business news out there this morning, including what's happening at Bayfront. You had reported on this show and in your column that Barney's is coming to Bayfront, but it's not just Barney's apparently.
No, it's not. I mean, right now there's still their proposals, but they have some grandiose plans, all wrapped in luxury at Bayfront. So it's the Barney's New York folks who, Barney's it's a reboot of Barney's, which actually hasn't been around for many years. And they're rebooting it, and this is going to be the first spot in Naples. So it could be a different, but it is the brand. It is branded that way, and there will be a Fred's Bistro, which was inside Barney's of New York. But in Bayfront, they're saying that Fred's will not be in the 10,000 square foot store, but it will be in Bayfront, either adjacent to or across from Barney's.
So they're really going all in with this.
Oh, yeah. And I did find out for sure where Barney's is going to be. I had a pretty good idea when I first announced that it was coming, but to be honest, they weren't as forthcoming as when I actually talked now to the two guys who are behind it. And it's going to be where B&B Italia is today, which is right next to Sessoir, the new restaurant which is upscale, of course, as well, there in Bayfront. So B&B Italia will still be in Bayfront, but it's going to move slightly north to places that were, I think there was a construction company's offices were there, and they recently relocated. So it's going to be there. And then there'll be the new Barney's store will be taking over. So the existing 5,000 square feet of B&B Italia, plus the Serhant Realty place there, so which used to be McQuaid Real Estate for many years, and then now it's Serhant with the same folks behind it, of course, with Ryan Serhant, who's also from New York. So we have this New York influence, I guess, coming there. So and then there's going to be a lot more. So in addition to that, they're saying they want to bring in the first ever Sports Illustrated sports bar to Bayfront, which will be again very high end. And then a nautical marina, they're calling it. And I think what the plan is, even though they didn't really get into the details, but I believe that where the Cabana Bar is now, it used to be Shane's. And now I think they just call it Cabana Bar, which is right there on the, where the boat slips are on the right. You can see it as you go over the Gordon River Bridge.
Right.
That is, I think, going to become a Nautica bar and marina. So they're going to be, and these plans have been in the works for many years, as you probably know, to expand that bar. And it was even approved by the city, but it's been so long, it's been more than a year. So those plans have lapsed. They've got to go start the process over again, which they claim they're going to be, I guess, putting it before the design review board as early as next month. So that's going to be, it's not going to be a 2-story bar as it was planned at one time, I believe, but they will be using, I think, 4 of the boat slips to expand a little bit in that space. And then there's going to be some different stores, and high end, and it looks like a lot of it is footwear, which is
This
odd.
seems to be a major change. This is not just a little. I mean, this is like almost a complete remaking of Bayfront.
Yeah, it really is. So I mean, they're just really trying to go more upscale. I mean, I think it's kind of, again, we've talked about it. They didn't mention this specifically, but the Four Seasons effect, where that came in, and then you've got all these places wanting to upgrade. We've seen it with Waterside Shops is doing the same things. There always was, Waterside was always known for luxury brands, but they're even kicking it up a notch. So, and I think that's what you're going to see throughout Bayfront if this works. But some of the other brands that they mentioned were Swims, which make men's boat shoes. Plus, it's high-end footwear, which is also what Pilates is involved in, and it's spelled not like Pilates, but it's like pilot with an I on the end. Pilates, it's Italian racing shoes, and they also have other kind of apparel, but there will be a coffee shop associated with it. And then there's Hunter Boots, which is an English brand, and this will be their first store in the U.S. that will be coming here. So yeah, there's some interesting things happening there.
Well, the thing that I'm interested in is this Sports Illustrated sports bar. They already have a sports bar there. Is that going to go away?
I don't know.
Tavern on the Bay.
I don't know what the deal is with those. I know that there will be some. They do have a lot of vacancies there, and so there are places where things could go. Like I'm guessing, like Fred's could go into the old steakhouse. Stoney's St. Germain Steakhouse, and at last was Saluna, which just closed this past spring. I don't know, I mean, what the existing places are there that may be pushed out or whatever. But Tavern on the Bay has been there for years. I think it's been there at least 15 years, as has EJ's Breakfast Cafe. It's been there probably 14 years or so, right across the way. So those are the longest operating restaurants that have been in there, but a lot of the other ones have turned over a lot. So, like I said, there are some vacancies already there. And I think that, the Kevin Stoneburner, who founded and operates Bayfront, also is the guy behind the K Rico Mexican restaurant. Yeah. So, and I think that's targeted probably to be made over. So eventually, I mean, that hasn't been talked about, but that's just my feelings.
Is this? You think this remaking is sort of a result of all the building that's happening and the hotel right across the street, the Marriott? And
yeah, I do. No, I think it's a lot. Yeah, there's construction. If you think about it, all the stuff going on all around that area. I mean, we have the new Gulf Shore Playhouse. There's a new Winds downtown being built next to that. You've got the build out of Naples Square right across the way, and it's going to have retail and restaurants associated with it right across the street there on Goodlet. And then if you just go down the trail a little bit, you've got the redevelopment of the Triangle there with the new Metropolitan Naples and the new JW Marriott and the Halcyon condos and marina that's going to be there. And then they go up right up Fifth Avenue where St. George and the Dragon was. The Avenue will be starting construction soon, very high end. So there's a lot. There's a lot going on all around, and I think they're just taking advantage of that and realizing there's new life here that we can take advantage of.
Well, I'm wondering, as I listen to you talk about all of this, if we're reaching the saturation point.
Well, it's possible, but I think, we have new blood coming in all the time, and that's the thing. It's, that we have where our population is still growing. It's not going to be as much in hugging the coast there in Naples, but I mean, it is going up. There are more building. I mean, if you just look at, I have a story coming out this fall about looking at the Miracle Mile, and there are at least 6 major projects along there. The one that's farthest along right now is Rosewood Residences, which again, very high end. and right all along the coast there, starting just right next to Loudermilk Park, and going a little bit north. There's all these new luxury condominiums that basically was driven because of Hurricane Ian, wiped out the at least the ground floors, and some of the places that are along there, decided to rebuild, had deeper pockets to do so, and then there's other folks who own condos there who wanted to cash out. So and they sold, and they're being redeveloped. So you've got a lot of that going on.
You mentioned that there are lots of groundbreakings happening.
Yeah, I actually, I went to the groundbreaking on Wednesday of the Paraíso Beach Club, which is on Vanderbilt Beach there. We reported that before. It's right directly north of La Playa,
right?
The resort there, and it'll be a 3-story building it replaces 2 residential lots. So and their idea was to make it look like a home, but it's a very large home. And they'll have their own restaurants. There'll be a bar and grill on the roof. You can sit out there and watch sunsets. I mean, it is a private club. I mean, there is I think the initiation fee has been reported like $130,000.
Yikes!
Which, apparently is refundable. But then there's I think the starting memberships were $10,000 a year, which isn't a lot. So I'm guessing it will go a lot higher. But I think it's going to be capped at around 650 people. And the thing is, what's different about it, there's really no parking lots. So members are not going to be able to park there. So they'll have to get shuttles from somewhere, and they haven't said where that's going to be yet. But this isn't tied. What's unique about this is it isn't tied to a certain condominium complex or golf resort or anything like that. It's an independent private beach club.
So anybody anywhere with the appropriate initiation fee can be part of that.
That's right. So, and that broke ground on Wednesday. That'll be under construction. I think it's supposed to open next summer. And but we just keep having this. This has been a groundbreaking year, pretty much. We just had the groundbreaking. Then the very next day for the College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is going to go up right next to the new Costco off of in Hacienda Lakes there, off of Rattlesnake and Collier Boulevard. So that will be a new school, a medical school here.
Bless you, whoever it was that just sneezed.
I think my son threw something in the recycling bin.
It sounded like a sneeze.
But anyway, so that'll be a future College of Medicine there, which is, interesting.
How big a deal is that? Because, I mean, are there lots of colleges of osteopathic medicine around the country?
I think there are a few, but not in this area, at least, So, I mean, this is something, I think it's big for Collier County. It's, it's on 5 acres there, and I think it'll be a place where, hopefully, I think they're going to be able to intern with NCH, for instance. There's a pipeline there.
But they're right next to Physicians Regional.
Right. They're right next to Physicians Regional, exactly. So, and it was interesting. So that like Rick Locastro, the county commissioner, who used to be the COO of Physicians Regional, was involved with the groundbreaking, for instance, there. So,
that's a lot.
Yeah. But then it just keeps going. And then the very next day on Friday night was the ribbon cutting for the new Mason Classical Academy there on Vanderbilt Beach Road. So, and I was planning to go to that. I was in line. You would not believe. You would think they were having free lobster dinners or free beer there. Oh my gosh, the cars were backed up on going. First of all, I was in the westbound line of cars on Vanderbilt to turn in, and I said, hell with this. I'm going to try to go around past these vehicles and go up and do a U-turn and come back the other way. Well, the next exit, there were cars piled up. Then I went down a little farther. I was able to turn onto Vanderbilt going eastbound, and there was a huge line of cars to get in. And as I got parallel to the place I saw, they have 3 lanes of traffic, by the way. They go all the way around the acreage there, which is sizable. And the outside lanes were all full of cars, and they were using the inside lane to still have through traffic. And I was thinking, there's just no way I'm going to get in with all these cars. So I just,
You bypassed it.
I just turned out and went home. So I did not attend the event, but I was able to get photos from the people there, and we did have a photographer there. But yeah, that was just crazy. The people that turned out to kick off this new Mason Classical Academy building.
The one they're in now, which is in East Naples off of Horseshoe, is really inconvenient at pickup time, because I had to go to the recycling center at the airport a couple of times in the afternoon during school season, and the cars line up on the roadway, and at one point they're in the road and they're dead stopped. So if you're heading east on what's that called, Airport Executive Drive or something like that, Corporate Drive, I forget what it's called. But when you're heading east toward Airport Road, you're basically stuck in car line if you want to go to the recycling center. So I'm guessing this new Mason Classical Academy will essentially supplant the other one. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll be closing the one on Horseshoe. In fact, I think they already have, because apparently that Horseshoe location is going to be the new home for the Autism Collier Charter School. I haven't seen the details of that yet.
You got all kinds of scoops this morning.
Yeah, so I think that's where that's going. That hasn't been widely reported yet. But yeah, I'm planning to do a story on that coming up, because that'll be one of 3 new schools we have for this school year. Of course, we have the Mason Classical Academy, then the Autism School, and then we have the new Ave Maria Elementary School that will be opening, and they have their ribbon cutting on July 30th. So next week.
With the advent of the new Mason Classical Academy, there's also a Naples Classical Academy, I believe.
Yes, that's on. Yeah, they have. It's on Immokalee Road, so midway there between 951 and Wilson. Naples Classical Academy, and that's the one that's Eric O'Donnell started, and where and she was involved with the start of Mason Classical Academy as well, with Kelly Lichter, Kelly Mason.
Now, yeah.
But yeah, these are charter schools. They're still public schools. They're tuition free. Their difference is they have more of what they call a classical education. So, and it kind of operates as a private school, but it still receives public funds,
right.
and it is still open to the public. Anyone, can.
Well, what does this portend for the public schools? If more and more kids are going to these charter schools, then are we going to see a point at which do you think the Collier County school system will stop building schools, or will start having to close them down? Or?
Well, I would think so, but right now they still have plans to, add on, eventually do another middle school out in the either the Estates area or east of there. And another high school. So eventually, I think, right now they're still, because they see all the growth that's coming. We still have quite a bit of growth. And I think the charter schools are going to help where they don't have to build as many, but I still think you're going to see some, until we hit, build out, which is still, decades away.
It is. And not to be outdone, we need to mention the Naples Bay Resort. I know your colleague David Dorsey wrote a piece in Gulf Shore Business last week about the fact that it has been sold to a firm out of Indiana, I believe.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess it's a firm that operates other similar type resorts, and and that's what's going to happen with it. So it was taken over. The sale happened actually June 30th, and it sold for $41.25 million, and that includes, of course, the marina. Really, that's a combination of 2 properties, because if you're familiar with it, there's the Naples Bay Resort on the northern part, and then in the south, right there near the city line, on the East Trail is the Naples Bay Club, which
Right.
also includes that, which has a lot of amenities for the resort. It has the lazy river and the waterfall and slides and tennis courts and stuff like that.
I was actually at that one day last spring. We were guests of some people who have a membership there, and it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like a little oasis tucked in there that people don't realize that that's even there. But yeah, so it's very notable because it goes back. We talked just recently about Thieves Waterfront Cafe that used to be on that property,
Right.
Naples Bay Resort, when it was the marina way back, and they really didn't change the footprint of it. Somebody had posted on the story that I ran a historic photo, an aerial photo, and it really looks the same as far as the water, where the water flow and everything goes. So they just completely changed, the skyscape landscape of it, with all the the building, the resort, and those are still individually owned by folks, the condos that are in there. But yeah, it was definitely a notable change of hands. And I thought it was curious, that Fred Pozeshkin, is the owner. He used to be the CEO of Manhattan Construction and everything. And he is the one, behind building the Metropolitan Naples.
Right. The high
stone's
rise
throw
that's
away.
going up. Yeah. So what do we have coming up in your column on Friday?
Well, I have the details about Mickle Bob's is expanding.
Really?
And not only they're going to be opening up a North Naples location, which will be a sit-down location, unlike Marco Islands, which is just all takeout. This one will be a Mickle Bob's. Won't be as big as the original, but the original's been around since 1979, and it's one of the oldest restaurants in Naples. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. So I'll have details about that, and I have also details about. I heard you mention in the last few days about new apartments on Radio Road. There was clearing of trees there, of more than 3 acres. And so I'll have details about the
I have
new,
the scoop I have the scoop on that, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I can tell you that it's going to be 70 units of workforce housing.
Yeah, that's right, 70 units, and there'll be 2 4-story buildings, and that's going to be start. Vertical. They don't have a permit yet for vertical construction. They only have a permit so far for clearing the fill and the utilities for it. So they don't actually have a permit in hand yet to begin vertical construction, but that probably will happen fairly soon.
So that's an area of Radio Road that has been pretty much the way it is for years and years and years. And I drove by it the other day, and it really is kind of a shock when you see all the trees that have been cleared away from there.
Yeah, and people don't realize the fact that the first question I received at least 3 different questions from readers about it, and the first one said they didn't think it was large enough to build anything, and they were just curious. Well, and it turned out it was big enough to do something.
Yeah, apparently, or they wouldn't be doing it. All right, Tim, it's always a pleasure. We were full of information today, and I really appreciate your taking the time to talk with us. And tell your son the next time to be quieter when he throws stuff in the recycling.
well, I did actually. It doesn't.
It doesn't matter. He can come on and talk with us if he wants to.
All right.
We're cool. And people want to sign up, they can go to gulfshorebusiness.com or naplespress.com, and there's a sign-up link in the upper right-hand corner, and you can sign up right there.
That's right.
Get free newsletters.
Thank you, Dave. It's always a
thank
pleasure.
you, Tim.
All right.
Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Tim Ayton on the Dave Elliott Show here on a Tuesday morning. We'll take a break and be right back.
Dave Elliott.
And a minute out for Alice Sweetwaters. It's sizzling summer out there. You can tell just by looking at the steam on the windows in the morning. But Alice Sweetwaters has summer sizzling lunch specials just for you. Every day from 11 to 4. Mondays, the Smash Burger Beach Break for $12. Tuesday, it's Taco Tuesday for $12. Wednesday, the Dockside Duo, which is my favorite. 3 chicken fingers, 3 fried shrimp served with golden fries, $12. And Thursday, the classic French dip. You'll love it. Don't forget Fridays, the local catch lunch, and don't forget Alice Sweetwater's for dinner and snacks and everything in between. It's Alice Sweetwater's, my favorite place to eat, and yours too, I'm sure, at the corner of Glades Boulevard and Airport Road, diagonally across from the East Naples Home Depot. Alice Sweetwater's, where they serve crabs, shrimps, and big people.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking. But even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Even if he were cloned, he'd still be one of a kind, and the better looking one. Dave Elliott.
All righty, we're back here on a Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, Reg Buxton joins us. We'll be talking about all things Naples, and we're lining up a couple of other guests that we'll have on, and we'll be announcing them on Facebook. You can like us on Facebook at The Dave Elliott Show. You can find us on YouTube, but the easiest way to find us is to go to daveontheair.com. That's www.daveontheair.com. Click the Listen Live link to listen between 7 and 8:30, quarter to 9 every day. And then if you want to listen to the archive shows, click the link right below that at daveontheair.com, and that'll take you to the show that we just finished, and it'll be available for you to listen to at your leisure. So you don't have to listen between 7 and 9. When I was doing shows on the radio, I got a lot of requests from people who said, do you podcast the show so that we can listen to it at our own schedule? And by the way, you'll notice now on the streaming screen that I have a digital clock on there that tells you what time of day that we broadcast the show live did a certain thing appear. So if you want to go ahead or behind in the show to find it, you can tell by the digital clock on the screen where that is. And then on Thursday on the show, we're going to be checking in with our good buddy, funny man, Bob Zaney. So we have a lot going on here this week and in weeks to come. We'll be checking in with a lot of our regulars, and we'd love to hear from you too. You can text us with questions or comments at 305-699-2665. You can also call us at that same number at 305-699-2665 between the hours that we're live, which is 7 to about 8:45 as a rule. Well, before heading overseas, American travelers are warning to double-check their bags for one item that could lead to some big fines or even prison time, believe it or not. And that one item is cannabis. U.S. officials are reminding travelers that bringing cannabis products across international borders remains illegal in many countries following a new customs policy in Thailand that significantly increases penalties for violators. You remember what happened to, who was the WNBA player? Sue Bird, was it? I forget who it was, that got busted for having weed in her bag in Russia. In June of 2026, Thailand introduced, that was just last month actually, Thailand introduced tougher penalties for drivers caught bringing cannabis across its borders. Violators can face up to 10 years in prison, a fine of up to 500 Thai baht, which is about $15,000, 500,000 Thai baht, which is about $15,000, or both, according to the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Thailand. Although Thailand criminalized cannabis possession in 2022, importing or exporting cannabis without the proper permissions remains illegal, the warning went on to say. And check this out. Garbage trucks could soon do more than collect trash. They may also help identify code violations using artificial intelligence. In Cape Coral, officials recently considered equipping sanitation trucks with AI-powered cameras that would photograph properties as crews complete their normal collection routes. The system would have been designed to identify potential issues such as overgrown lawns, peeling paint, illegal dumping, and to flag violations so the city staff can review them later before taking enforcement action. Privacy advocates, however, have long warned that expanding camera networks can raise new concerns about how collected data is stored, shared, and potentially repurposed. So if you see a garbage truck coming along, smile and wave, because you could be on garbage camera.
The impossible question on the Dave Elliott Show.
Here's a chance for you to become the smartest person in town, and down the road we'll be actually giving you a chance to win prizes. For now, we're just getting the ball rolling on this. So if you want to participate, you can text us at 305-699-2665, 305-699-COOL with your impossible question and answer, or you can call us for even quicker response at that very same number, 305-699-2665. So here's today's impossible question. 10 billion of these are thrown away each year without ever being opened. And you may even have scarfed a couple of these up recently and stuck them in your pocket. Hopefully you won't forget they're there. But 10 billion of these are thrown away each year without being opened. The clue would be you generally grab these when you're dining out. 10 billion thrown away each year without being open. Call me or text me right now at 305-699-2665 if you think you know what the answer is. And if you're right, you are declared the smartest person in town today on the impossible question. No, Eileen, it is not mints. Good guess. Not correct. 10 billion of these are thrown away each year without ever being opened. It has something to do with dining out or maybe taking something home. I knew people who used to go to various places just to collect these things. 10 billion of them thrown away each year. Not toothpicks from Rick this morning. Nope, not toothpicks, Rick. Good guess, but not correct. Thank you very much. Something else. 10 billion of these thrown away each year without ever being opened. And you generally find them in restaurants. If I said fast food restaurants, would that help any? 10 billion thrown away each year. Our impossible question today. Thrown away without ever being opened. 305-699-2665. 305-699-COOL if you think you know. I'll check the responses throughout the morning, and if we get a correct answer, I will put it on the Dave Elliott Show Facebook page. How does that sound? My wife suggested it's the most vile substance on earth, and she could very well be right. Although vile is spelled V-I-L-E, not the way you spelled it. Not that I'm correcting your spelling live on the podcast, but I am. If you know what the most vile substance on the face of the earth is, sorry, from area code 607, it is not plastic silverware. It is something else completely. What do you think it is? 305-699-2665. Not plastic silverware, not toothpicks, not mints, but the most vile substance on the face of the earth. If you listen to me with any regularity, you pretty much know what the answer is. If you don't listen to me with pretty much regularity, you don't know. 607 got it. Ketchup. It's condiment packets. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. 973, you got it too. Good job. You're all winners. Boy, the thing's blowing up here now on me. Everybody wants to weigh in on it. Ketchup packets, most vile substance on the face of the earth, with the possible exception of a mayonnaise sandwich with butter on it. You know what I mean? A little note here for you this morning. Speaking of fast food, some guy on social media wrote, quote, because of several unfortunate events, I am a college graduate working at McDonald's. After only being there a month, I have been reminded on several occasions in drive-thru how stupid people are, he said. Here are some of the ones that make me scratch my head. And then he put down a list of things on here. The forgetfuls. The person who orders, say, a value meal and a sundae, then gets to my window and orders another $25 worth of food. Honestly, how can you forget that you needed to order that much food? Another thing that he said makes him scratch his head, the dim bulbs. These are the ones who make their order and then say, to go. They are in drive-thru. Do they think I'd let them sit at my window and eat? And finally, the one group the fast food worker doesn't understand is the requesters. He said, this is a big group. I'm not talking about the ones that want sauce with their nuggets. I'm talking about those really strange requests. For example, I had a guy say he needed a courtesy cup. Fine. He said, as I was reaching for it, he mentioned that he needed it so he could spit his tobacco into it. Ugh. I just didn't need to know that. But I got to tell you, I would argue that spitting tobacco into something is a lot better than having ketchup on something. You know what I mean? So thank you for joining us this morning. By the way, that was Chris who weighed in on us from area code 607 and guessed ketchup packets. Thank you, Chris, for that. That's going to do it for today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Tomorrow we'll have Reg Buxton on with us, and I hope you can join us for that. And we'll have a lot more stuff and nonsense, another impossible question coming our way as well. That's the Tuesday Dave Elliott Show right here. Remember, you can find us at www.daveontheair.com. Click the Listen Live link or the link below it to get the most recent show. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow.